Hi there and welcome into this video. Now it's a three-part series where we're discussing solar weather, solar energies, how it might affect us and our human bodies, our human experiences, emotionally, spiritually. And in this video, we're going to look at another layer. We're going to look a little bit about the Schumann Resonance as well as Earth ley lines. My name is Chrissy Whistler. I am an intuitive, an astrologer, and I'm also a parent of two very unique children. Now, if you are interested in having your own birth chart reading, if you want to understand why you are having the repeated experiences that you're having, why is your soul calling these things to you at this time? The rug getting ripped out from under you where you thought you were going one direction and then, oh my gosh, everything just changed. Astrology can help so much with this, understanding the planets where they are at the time of your birth, and then looking at this current moment in time. What are these transits and what is your soul pushing you to grow and evolve into? You will find out more of that at my website at chrissywhistler.com, or you can even leave me a comment below or send me an email to my website. Those are just a few ways that you can contact me if you're interested. I offer a big reading where we do a 90-minute in-depth into your astrology, and I also offer a 30-minute one where we look at just those high-level what's happening to you right now and why. So again, you'll find more of that information below at the description or also at my website. And please like this video, subscribe to this channel, share this with your friends if you find that it's really helping you to navigate this current moment, the energies. Helps me so much to connect with more souls like you. All right, so let's dive into this, shall we? Now, when we speak about energy and being sensitive to energy, we're also not just talking about sun activity, the solar flares, the geomagnetic storms that affect, the ionosphere and magnetosphere surrounding Earth, which we are a part of, okay? We've been discussing that in the first two videos. As I said in part one, we really dove into the science around solar flares and what that is. What can we expect as we enter into solar maximum for solar cycle 25, which we are in right now and right at that maximum point. And I also talked about the astrologies as well and how we're seeing that being reflected in the science. In the second video, I talked more about the physical and emotional symptoms and experiences that you could be having, as well as consciousness shifts and upgrades, and then how we can move through those big, intense solar energies when they're happening. And the key takeaway from that is to don't resist what's happening, really slow down, breathe, and just allow. Connect into nature and drink lots of water. So those two videos are there for you if you want to understand more. And what I'm doing in this series is I'm giving you this really overall, overarching viewpoint. I like to do a lot of linking thinking, where I look for patterns. Oh, this person said that. Well, that's really interesting. Oh, this person said this over here. Huh. And then I start to see and put them into this bigger puzzle piece. And this video is another one of those puzzle pieces. Now, I'm not a scientist. I do have a Bachelor of Science degree in biology, so I kind of understand some of this, but this is not my in-depth formal training. My formal training these past years has been in energy work, astrology, and being a mother, which is quite quite an intensive study, learning experience of my own self. But I just kind of want to put that disclaimer out there. and I am not a medical professional. So any of the times where I speak about symptoms, again, if you are experiencing difficulty within yourself and your body, please listen to your body and seek appropriate medical care. So just be aware of these little disclaimers. I'm also going to be citing from different people that I follow. So you're going to see all the links below in the description and even on the YouTube video itself as appropriate to let you know this person said this. If you want to find out more, then take ownership of your sovereignty and go find out more and allow your internal compass to be your guide in this. I'm just really hoping that I can give you these overall pieces of the puzzle that I am seeing and where we can start moving into next. So it's like once you got these pieces, you're like, oh, well, this is happening. That's interesting. That's happening. And again, you start to see that overall bird's eye view experience that we are moving through as citizens of Earth, galactic citizens as well. So yeah, this one right here, we're going to talk a little bit about the Schumann Resonance and Earth's ley lines. So, have you heard of the Schumann Resonance before? I mean, what is it? So, I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Earth has a natural hum to it that's constantly vibrating and emitting a wide range of frequencies. Some of those are the Schumann resonance, which are these electromagnetic waves in the Earth's ionosphere. So, you know, the sphere that surrounds Earth, and then above that is the magnetic sphere, which is that space of that in between of space and then Earth's atmosphere. So these Schumann resonances, these electromagnetic waves, are found in that Earth's ionosphere, and they're formed between the surface of the Earth and the ionosphere itself. So between that, like, there's Earth, there's the ionosphere, that's where the waves are created. And the ionosphere is made up of a sea of electrically charged particles from the sun. And as I said, this is where Earth meets space. And that can be about 50 miles to 400 miles above Earth's surface, just depends on where you are. And as I said, this is the boundary where is the air that we can breathe and live in, and then above that boundary is space and that vacuum of space. Just to put into context, that's also where most of our satellites are found, is in that ionosphere. So when lightning strikes Earth, it creates these electromagnetic waves, and it acts as if like ringing a bell on the Schumann resonance. And in fact, it's well known that we will have Schumann resonance spikes certain times of the year because it is well known frequency of lightning events. You know, like we see that, I believe it's summertime in the Northern Hemisphere. It's just one example. The Schumann resonance, it's not a frequency, but it's a range of frequencies that exist all throughout that whole ionosphere. The most dominant frequency is 7.83 hertz. Yeah, I know, we're going to get a little bit sciencey, not too much. I will leave other people, especially Stephen Burns' wonderful deep diving into that, and I will be citing quite a bunch from him as well. So in addition to this Schumann resonance, we also have the Earth's hum, which is made up of seismic waves that ripple out across the Earth. And Earth also creates extremely low sound vibrations across the planet. The ocean is in fact the source of Earth's naturally resonant seismic waves. And these are sound energies that naturally resonate with our planet. So I'm going to link to Stephen Burns, and he really did a deep dive into this. I'm just going to give you again some of these highlights to hopefully ground you a little bit, but not overwhelm you, because it can be quite overwhelming. I'm filming this on March 17th, really hoping to get this out to you before the Aries equinox, and I think I'm going to be able to squeak that in. Yeah. So around March 10th, now depending where you live in the world, we experienced a change in our near-Earth energetics. And this is coming from Stephen Burns, who really breaks this down, easy ways to understand, and then really goes, as I said, deep into the science. So please refer to his video if you want to understand this more. Now, actually, let me back up a second before I go into this deeper specifics. So as I said, we have the solar flares, and we have like geomagnetic storms. We can have coronal mass ejections, CMEs. We can also have solar radiation events, for example. All this energy that's coming from our sun, from our space weather, they can affect us. What also can affect us with our heightened sensitivity, if you have one of those heightened antennas to these things, you can also be picking up on changes in the Schumann resonance. And just to give you an example, since I've been doing these videos and I've been sharing more about solar weather, I have friends who are contacting me and they're like, hey Chrissy, is there some major like solar weather event that's happening? Are we getting hit with big solar flares? And I'll be like, well, let me go check. And I'll pull up my space weather app. If you want, you can download that for yourself. It's free, link in the descriptions. And I'll look and I'll be like, oh, well, there's nothing really going on. And I'm like, that's interesting. And then I went and found Stephen Burns' video, and he's talking about this flux that we had, this in the Schumann resonance, and I'm like, oh, okay, heightened Schumann resonance activity. My friend who, she's a wonderful individual, neurodiverse, brain works differently, really picks up on these signals. She was picking up on this. And so for me, I'm also like, oh, look, here really is this other layer to this larger puzzle. So if you are very sensitive, this can be an area that you might want to keep an eye on. So you know, like, oh my gosh, I can't move, I can't get anything done. And then you can go look at the Schumann resonance. For example, the Tomsk station in Russia records this. I believe that's records and measures this data. You can go see that, go see for yourself and start to track like, oh wow, that's an interesting picture right there of that puzzle and that frequency and what was happening. And I had my own unique experience. So that's why I'm kind of really even bringing in the Schumann resonance, is because it is another piece of this puzzle. And for some of us, you can really be picking up on it. All right, so back to March 10th. All right, so around that March 10th, we had this change in our near-Earth energetics, so close to Earth, okay, that within that ionosphere, not happening from space weather, but like our Earth stuff, okay? It is specifically in the electron flux. And you might have felt that if you were sensitive around that time. And for me, that was interesting because I go and I look at the astrology and I'm like, oh, well, we also had Mars in Aquarius, square to Uranus, who was in Taurus at that time. And it was exact. They were an exact square on March 9th. And then on March 10th, we had this change in this electron flux. And as I went into it deeper, but just know when we have this Aquarian, Uranian energy, especially with Uranus and Taurus, Uranus is sudden, it's like lightning strikes, it's eruptive energy out of nowhere, while Taurus is fixed Earth. So we have a lot of unstable geomagnetics right now, just while Uranus is in Taurus, okay? And it was just very interesting is I had actually referred in the first part 1 video of this that we could experience something around this March 9th while we had that square to Mars and Uranus. And then, of course, we did, which I will go into in just a minute. And just to also to weave in as well, we had our new moon in Pisces on March 10th itself. So we're having this synchronicity between the astrology and the energies within what can happen in the astrology. And then we look at our Earth and scientifically even measured what happens. It's like, look at those correlations. Isn't that interesting? So I would also like to know if you had any experiences of sensitivity, exhaustion, whatever it is, around that time. Go ahead, leave a comment and let us know with you or with your children so other people can start to see like, oh, I'm not the only one who might be experiencing this strange thing. So please leave a comment if that is you. And if you feel comfortable, of course. All right, so back to this electron flux. Chrissy, oh my gosh, what is that? Okay, to go into more, look to those who know a whole lot more about it than me. But just know, for this past few months, okay, our electron flux, which is in this near Earth, what did I call it? Near Earth energetics, all right? It's been lower than normal. And it's the amount of electrons within our ionosphere surrounding Earth, that radiation belt surrounding the planet, it's been abnormally low. And around this March 9th, 10th, it was starting to raise back up. Now, the last time we had this low electron flux in our ionosphere, a couple months ago, we ended up getting into an unexpected geomagnetic storm happened, and the KP levels, so how they measure that, went up to level 6, which is quite a lot. And again, was very unexpected. And I do believe this is when you could see the northern lights all the way down into like Arizona, for example, if you're familiar with the United States. If I had been camping and I had a good spot, I probably could have seen them from around Los Angeles, even just on that horizon. So that's how powerful that geomagnetic storm happened. So normally northern lights are just seen right at the north, but when you have those bigger storms, it can allow them to drop down to these lower latitudes. So totally go dive into this if you're like, ooh, I want to learn more. So this raising of this electron flux can trigger, because it's extremely low right now, it can trigger these geomagnetic storms and also trigger intense energies in the Schumann resonance. And it's when that shift is unexpected, that like that fluctuation, that's when things can trigger. I'm just kind of pausing. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just do a screenshot of the Schumann resonance here so you can even see how is this measured, what does this look like. And there are different modes depending on where you are looking at in that graph. And when you get deeper down onto the graph, that's when we get into like mode 4 and mode 5, which is that lowest. And if it's stronger, getting into that 30 plus hertz range, this is when it really connects to our gamma brainwave activity. So back on that March 10th, we had this unexpected, intense energy coming through in the Schumann resonance. And it really was very heightened again into that 30 plus hertz range. Now, Stephen Burns references this general resonance theory, which posits that when we have the shared resonance, which is synchronization, this is the key to understanding this nature of our consciousness. And I am paraphrasing here. And it's when we look at the shared resonance, we can see it as a general mechanism to combine the microcosm entities like us into this more macrocosmic structures, which is like our Earth. Please look up general resonance theory if you want to know more. I'm actually going to be linking below an article about that. So definitely go dive into that theory if you're very scientifically minded and want to know more about it. But this is really, again, speaking to this connection of our shared resonance as human beings with Earth and our own electromagnetic fields. And so this is really activated on that, potentially activated on that March 10th date. And according to general resonance theory, the Earth is vibrating across this electromagnetic spectrum, which has seismic vibrations, and it stipulates that the Earth is a super consciousness that we are also a part of. And they said those vibrations that we experienced on March 10th, when they got to that that mode 5, for example, can also affect our consciousness. And as I said, there will be times when we will naturally have an amplification of these Schumann resonances. We see this during weather systems, powerful low pressure systems like tropical cyclones, and there's this energy is coming into that ionosphere as well, like from the sun. Solar winds, space weather is another example of how we can see more of this. Now, as I said, right now we're seeing more energy in this electron belt of the ionosphere, and we haven't seen that in about 5 months. So it's been abnormally low. And so as these electrons start to rise, we can really feel this, depending again on what's happening in space weather, the Schumann resonance. It may not take much to have an experience, your own sensitivity get triggered, and you're like, oh my gosh, did we just have this major flare from the sun? And like, we didn't. And yet you can be picking up on this increased Schumann resonance energy. And let me actually share some of my experience on March 7th. So I was actually kind of a few days before. And I have noticed that some people who are really sensitive, we can almost be pre-waving what's coming. So again, it's like this wait and see and being really curious and seeing what happens. So on March 7th, we had a very minor geomagnetic storm. It was only a KP4, so it really wasn't a big deal. It was a little one, and it didn't last long, and yet it really knocked me out. And yes, there was also that tightening square between Mars and Uranus at the time. And what do I mean by knock me out? I was all set up to play a board game with my children. Cleaned the table off, ready to go. I opened up the book to get going, and my hands started to shake. And I just had like this pressure on my chest, a wave of anxiety. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't focus. Like, if I wanted to scroll on my phone, it was like my eyes just like, I didn't feel good. I just had to sit down on the couch and close my eyes and listen to some solfeggio frequencies for like an hour and a half. Like, I just had to rest. And it came out of nowhere, totally out of nowhere. A little bit of heart palpitations, but not so much. It was more of that unfocused energy that I've been feeling recently. So we can have this extra sensitivity to any of these changes when we're in these more periods of quiet, where it doesn't take much for our antennas to pick things up. And also at that same time, we had a coronal hole that was opening up in the sun. And those are these dark spots that can indicate fields of open magnetic field flux, coronal holes, which in general means we can have high-speed ions being emitted from that coronal hole. And it creates this new stream of solar wind that goes out into space, and it will eventually sweep Earth. So again, there's this layer. This is what I mean about layering. There's different things that can be going on that we can be picking up on. And that, as I said, with the solar wind can also increase the Schumann resonance frequencies, especially when we have these very quick changes in that baseline that has been established over a large period of time, which for us was very low. And it can create this shock waves, ripples that go across the energetics of our Earth. And yes, as well, during these equinox periods, we do see this greater charging of the ionosphere from solar winds, which is that Russell-McFerrin effect that I mentioned previously. So Earth is just more receptive to these energies. So with that, let me start. I hope that made sense, or I hope that gave you enough that you can go deep dive and land with this as best meets for you. I am still integrating about the Schumann resonances and what they mean, so that's kind of why my language might be a little bit more stilted than others, because I'm still kind of processing and figuring it all out. But I did want to give that information to you in case you had experiences you want to go look into more. Know that this can be playing an effect for you potentially as well. All right, so now I'm going to start to bring in this conversation that Heather Ensworth had with Rory Duff, who is a geobiologist and a pioneer in researching Earth's ley lines and energies. And he measures ley lines across the world and speaks to how they have been widening on their own, and also creating extra lines between them. And that if you were to meditate even on these shadow lines, that it could affect you with you actually being on this magnetic line of Earth. You would have the same meditation experience. And Rory Duff, he also speaks to this mechanism of where Earth is flooding us with so much more of this higher pressure vibration, which can make us more sensitive. So there is this sense of an awakening of our actual planet Earth, and as it's doing that, it's having a potential effect on us. And what they've known, when you live around those energies, if you live near them or on them, it can really accentuate your emotions. Whether they're good or they're bad, it can have this amplification experience. And you can get people reacting more emotionally, more negatively, more vigorously. Of course, leading to more divisiveness between people, like where there is no middle ground. So we're having this Earth ley lines are intensifying. And yet this harmony period as well is also lengthening, like where if you were to go and meditate, for example, on the equinox, you don't have to just do it on that equinox day. That period of time between them, those harmony days, are getting longer, and we have so much helping us and supporting us with that. So what do I mean by harmony days? Again, periods where you could really come easily into sync. Used to be, it was only about a day and a half of harmony, and now it's up to more than 40. And Rory Duff is saying that, by the end of 2024 at winter solstice, that we're moving into a period where there are no gaps in these harmony days. We have this all year round, this same frequency, that all the lines are vibrating from side to side of that frequency, which again is very interesting. The timing with that is what he's saying, is we have Pluto fully moving into Aquarius at the end of November 2024. So that is also suggesting a profound shift into this new consciousness, this new collective deepening awareness, which, when even with Leylines looking at this energy, this measuring that Rory Duff is doing, there's this synchronicity that's taking place. And right now we're in this healing, purging, and perfection phase, and we're seeing that quite clearly with Chiron conjunct that North Node in Aries. And in addition, okay, to all this, we do have the Earth is, our whole solar system is passing through this interstellar magnetic field right now. It's like sometimes we're in a place where there is no heightened interstellar magnetic field. And when that happens, the cosmic rays that we're receiving from the universe boost. So for us, on Earth, we can have this increase or a decrease in the magnetic field that we experience. And when it's low, this is when we are getting more into the evolutionary effects, because we're receiving more gamma rays through the universe, from the universe, and into our cells to help mutate them. And I have spoken about gamma rays as well with that Schumann resonance, so, and the general resonance theory. Sorry about that. So very interesting, again, this correlation between these energies. So we are having right now, example, a drop. The drop in the magnetic field is not uniform across the world, according to Rory Duff. South America, in particular, Brazil, is getting hit with a lot of gamma ray radiation right now. This cosmic energy, which was going to be boosting and supporting the evolution there. And I will link with Pam Gregory as well, that in addition, every 12,000 years, give or take 500, we move through a region of space called the galactic current sheet. And as we move through this ripple, that photon belt, we're getting this very high concentrated frequency of energy and light. So, isn't this interesting? Just kind of this correlation again with the astrology, with the science, with our solar system moving through this particular sheet, and we're receiving this higher and higher frequency. Again, look at those synchronicities. Look at the linking between all these energies. And just to kind of ground a little bit of what I said more, you know, when we have the time of the rishis, you know, in Vedic astrology, sorry about that, was a time when Earth was in almost no magnetic field, and they could do these amazing things. And then around 2,000 years ago, we're in these little troughs where you have these up and down moments, and that, of course, is when we had John the Baptist, Jesus Christ, and then all the things that they could do were coming through. So people in that historic past, whether the rishis or the time of Jesus, they were able to tap into that field, and they could do some really amazing things. And so when we have that magnetic field around Earth being low, this is when we have that potential increase in consciousness, and the opportunity becomes, what do we choose to do with it? Our own boundaries are lessening, and it is opening up for us this opportunity to potentially be telepathic again, to be more empathic, to really see someone who's in pain, and then we feel that pain, And honestly, it's also so much more. So even what I'm saying right now is possibilities. I'm like, yeah, that's just the tip of the iceberg of what is being opened up for us through this process. This portal, this birth canal that we as humanity and our consciousness is going through. And yet it's also this choice that each of us have as sovereign beings. What will we do with it? How will we meet these energies? So, I know this one was in a lot more science. I do hope it was helpful in giving you at least a little bit of some more of these threads and potentials of this greater tapestry that we are a part of, and that we are weaving at this time. So please leave a comment. Like, what have your experiences been? Have you started to look into earth ley lines? Do you live near one? Have you been tracking the Schumann resonance? Are you noticing an effect that this might be having for you? And as I said, I really wanted to get this out before the Aries equinox, as there can be a lot more of this sensitivity being wrapped up. As I said, Earth is much more receptive to any little change right now. And if you are sensitive, you can be feeling it, even if the sun is just being chill and quiet and not doing nothing like it's been doing for a little bit. It hasn't been that active. And yet, so many people. All right, clearing that energy. I've had so many people connecting with me and asking me, like, what's going on? Why am I having this experience? So hopefully this is another avenue for you to go and explore, to do your due diligence. Very interesting that my throat has just been so like all over the place on this video. I do apologize. I am still integrating a lot of this knowledge and this information, but it's just so interesting to see again, like, oh, look at that piece and how that's fitting together here, and look at that one and see how it comes together. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that little exploration with me. Please let me know how you are doing, how you are experiencing these. And if you are interested, if you want to know why you're having the experiences that you're having, please schedule a birth chart reading for me and we can see what is happening in your life. Let's look, see what the planets are doing, and give you that deeper why. Why is your soul calling and magnifying these people and these experiences to you so you know how to work with them and move with that flow? It makes the process not necessarily more comfortable to go through, but you understand it. And so then there's more ease into that flow and into that energy. So please reach out if you need that. Give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends if you find it interesting. And if you have someone that you want to share with me that you're like, hey, this person is a great resource, what do you think? Especially as we look at it from these different science angles, as well as the metaphysical ones and the others that cannot yet be measured. So thank you all so much for being here and watching, and enjoy your equinox, your deep harmony period and meditation. And I hope that this start of this astrological new year is exactly what you need as we head into our big eclipse season, which is on, first one, I checked my calendar, is on the 25th of March is our Libra eclipse, 26th if you're in other parts of the world, and then on April 8th. So very big, very intense time. Please take care of yourself, ground yourself, listen to your body. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.